I was at home. I heard a war started. We heard already in the news that there were already a lot of people getting out of the communities. We saw how terrible it really was for a lot of families. It only started around 10,000 families. And then in the afternoon, it became double. The following day, it became triple. Until now, we are at about 170,000 people. And I remember this one image of a woman carrying her 2-year-old child, and she was saying in Sinama, "Buwanin ako pagkakan." It means, please give me food. And I was saying, something can be done by posting it on Facebook. What do you think happened? And we always give different perspectives. Then we have to welcome everyone in this kind of discourse.
Conflict is between actually the state of Pakistan and the Taliban.
Sri Lanka was in a state of conflict and war for almost 30 years.
The military took over power 50 years.
The Communist Party of Nepal Maoist, and it was against the class discrimination.
Actually, Cambodia just passed decades of conflict.
And we call it a Khmer Rouge.
The Australian National Action Plan is one that looks more externally than internally.
We have conflict, religious freedom, agrarian conflict, human rights violations.
MNLF, Philippine military, and the Communist Party of the Philippines.
The elements of war, even though it's different countries, it's a lot of things are similar, like how women are affected in war.
Context or cultural contexts are very vulnerable because of the traditions and some harmful practices.
Because women had experience of sexual violence as well.
This sharing of where we are now, some countries have national action plans on 1325, so what's happening with them? How can we use it? Just having a national action plan on 1325 itself, in a sense, it's an achievement.
So that's National Action Plan to Local Action Plan, which is SLAP, and to really popularize National Action Plan, because in the barangays, women really doesn't know about it.
No IEC could be done in the ground without funding. There's a stall in the implementation, especially in rural areas.
How they are going through it, because they are 1 year ahead than us, no? What are the challenges they are facing for implementation? So let's make a strategy to deal with that.
Impact of conflict.
Bringing the equal number of women in the room already makes a difference. But we are struggling with the next step, how there's quality participation of women.
I was one of the key consultants. So we're looking at the way that we can push the women, peace and security, and really looking for a broader gender policy that we could start to build a bigger gender platform for Australian government to use.
So what we then do is look at the National Plan of Action on Women, because on the chapter of Women and Armed Conflict, we have included many of the concerns that should be addressed. It's been revised periodically, but it has to be passed by Cabinet.
Although the government of Pakistan has integrated a few of the provisions, actually some of the provisions of the 1325, but of course there is a greater need for having a holistic approach to it and having a NAP in place.
Background to the conflict in culture
Because in the parliament you can see all are men. Mostly men are the one who turned down the proposal. In this 2015 there will be more women ran for the positions, and then hopefully those kind of women issue will be addressed seriously in the parliament.
Decisions have been made already that we have to mainstream it, take the action part of 1325 and integrate to the NAP of violence against women.
There are many women's groups in Indonesia. They haven't given participation from the government to be included in the process of drafting the NAP. And we are still drafting right now.
Cross-sharing or across the Asian region of what has worked in their situation with those who have a national action plan and are trying to implement it, with those who are definitely never going to have a national action plan because they're having to find other ways to integrate it into gender and development strategies, and then with those who are really thinking about it and looking at, well, we're in the early stages, how did you do this and how did you do that? That's just been an amazing dialogue in itself.
There's a common ground. Despite of the differences, we can discuss with fellow women peace advocates about what we can do next.
Many of them have to go to abroad, like to Middle East countries, to work as domestic workers there. In Mindanao, they cannot find jobs. So I learned from that experience so much. Then I learned about situation in the conflict area that affected women is not only about the violence, about the conflict. There are also an issue about economical rights.
This is happening in most countries. Women are looking to migrate to other countries where there is no protection at all, or fundamentally very little protection.
I also learned that it is very important for women in the conflict areas to be heard, to share their story, because you know that when we talk, they were very happy because they think that, okay, I have shared my stories to you. I think it was the moment that I can take back to Indonesia with me. So
these kinds of gatherings are what is needed because we need to be able to build up a strong advocacy platform. When we have long-term, and many of these conflicts in the Asia-Pacific region are long-term. Generations have been born into situations of conflict.
Marami ng putukan. Kaya nag-evacuate na kami dito. Dinala ko yung mga anak ko. Mahirap, mainit, maraming tao, magulo. Hindi ka makatulog maayos. Akala ko sandali lang, 2 buwan na kami dito. Panglima na to ngayon, baka dito na ako manganak.
We are here at the grandstand. We saw how terrible it really was. And they tell us, we heard from so-and-so that the news said this and that. And then we tell them that that did not happen, that this happened. So people, there's that kind of activism also happening among the people outside of Zamboanga City. And we really appreciate that. I think in times of war such as this, you get all kinds of people from different walks of life. Unlike if you have television, for instance, you only get people who have television sets, right? But if you, for instance, do social media, you do blog, or you do Facebooking. Friend of friends of friends of friends, family and family of this and that. And that's the magic of social media. You bring in different peoples from all walks of life.
What social media has done is be able to open the space for different actors to come in, to be able to articulate those issues and to be able to define the strategies has now shifted into social media.
So we can access to those like information very quick from the social media like Facebook. Especially young people, they use social media like Facebook to critique government very easy.
Is that how to engage people, or all user, bunch of youths in this process.
So when you read the information, then you are able to see what other people are critically thinking about the issue.
It's not about just now, it could lead to the future also. There are other young generation who are coming. They also need to understand what is the participation of women.
But I've seen even in my country that if it's a really social relevant issue, then people really get animated and use it for that purpose. So I think social media can be a really important tool in raising a lot of social issues.
Sometimes we do not have power supply. When we do IEC, we do it hands-on with the grassroots people.
Like the internet, it's just for the people living in the city can access to the internet. Compared to people living in the rural area, they don't even know how to use the computer.
So how do we know that we are sending it to the right?
So there has to be now a convergence of media. So that if you have social media and this sector group has access to social media, how do you use that information and tailor it then to a community radio? Or how do you tailor it into a theater group who does a performance? So it is now a convergence of media rather than looking at singular media for communication.
Even the social media cannot get the attention from the poor people in the community, but it is in the place that the advocators, the activists, and many relevant stakeholders, they can have a better connections and better information sharing, so then they can put in action and then bring back to help the community.
The social media is a tool. The issues remain basically the same. The need for women's empowerment, the need for women's rights, the need for women to be able to articulate their own issues.
I learned from their feminist perspective.
သူများနိုင်ငံတွေသွားတဲ့ခါကျသူတို့ရဲ့တင်ပြချက်တွေကိုယ့်နိုင်ငံမှာလိုအပ်ချက်တွေကိုပို့ပြီးတော့မြင်လာတယ်လေဆိုတော့မြင်လာတဲ့ခါကျလို့ရှင်တော့ဟိုသူတို့ရဲ့ဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲအစားဒီမှာဥပမာတယောက်နဲ့တယောက်သူတို့ရဲ့ sharing ဒီအပေါ်ကနေပြီး landing လုပ်ပြီးတော့မှကိုယ်နိုင်ငံမှာကိုပြန်ပြီးလိုအပ်တဲ့နေရာမှာပြန်ပြီးတော့မှဖြည့်လို့ရတာပေါ့နော်
I believe what we've done now has is to form a network that is both virtual and international pool of resourceful young women, of women who will gather and that will go on gathering up into that pool, that will then share their knowledge and their information, and again enrich each other as they go through. That will then cascade and filter down to grassroots level to help the women that really need to know what's going on and have availability, those policies and programs that will support them.
During the workshop, where hands-on practices, we created campaigns and we got the people from diverse countries getting to tweet and retweet our messages and just aligning to what we are saying. So it also gives you a sense that you're not alone in your thinking. There are people out there having the same thinking.
We can continue networking. This is just the beginning of a regional network that work together for one goal.